and today I'm very excited. This is my first real fashion interview with a very special guest, who I'm going to hand over and let them introduce themselves now and tell them all about their business. So Jennifer, over to you. You introduce yourself and tell us all about yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Jennifer Rothwell. I'm an Irish fashion designer based in Dublin. I was born in New York, and I was brought up in Ireland. And after college, I graduated, went back to New York and worked there full time for 10 years. And then I came back again, 2005, 2006, for family reasons. Unfortunately, my dad wasn't well, and I'm an only girl. And then decided to start my own brand in Dublin, Ireland. At the time of the Celtic Tiger, unfortunately, about a year and a half later, it was the recession then, and it looks like we're going into recession again. You know, but
incredible, as you say, and we all remember the Celtic Tiger. My word, it transformed Ireland. Some good things, some bad things, but I guess they all come together. So what made you get into fashion in the first place?
Well, I always loved design, and I always loved art. And I remember the first thing I drew was a rose, a red rose, when I was very, very young. And then I remember making my Barbie doll a pair of trousers out of an elasticated cuff that I cut off my jumpsuit. And so I just loved being creative. And I always remember thinking to myself, you know, I don't really want to have a boring job, and I don't want to be like, although my peers were all going to secretarial college, they were going to work in banks, and I was just like, no, I kind of feel like I want to do a career that I can dress the way I want to dress. And I suppose in a way people would look at like that, maybe like not growing up. I wouldn't think about it that way. I think about it as, I think all of us should be in a job that we're creative in and we love, you know, and so many people don't do that. Where I looked at my career and said, what can I do that I can continue to do what I want to do and be really fun, and, you know, play with trims and things like that. So I decided that, and I was quite impatient, you know. I didn't really want to do the route of doing a portfolio preparation course and then going into college. I wanted to go straight from school. And at the time, I was kind of, you know, and this is what I suppose is an important message to get across. Like, in the school I was in, somebody who was supposed to advise you about career kind of was putting me off applying for a certain, you know, college, saying that there was no way I was going to get in there. And I remember thinking to myself, this person hasn't even seen my portfolio. So I was saying, you know what, I'm going to get in there now, because this person told me I can't. And I suppose that's kind of been throughout my career, you know. I really feel that when people try to put you down, then you rise above that and work harder and get there, and not to listen to naysayers. So that's what I did. I was very lucky, though. I had 3 really, really influential art teachers in my life, and I'm still friends with them, and they're wonderful. And you know, so they encouraged me and believed in me, and I got into, you know, college straight after school. I got into education, and then art education. I did that for a year and a half, and then I transferred into fashion. So I ended up being in college for 5 years, and I didn't really want to be in college for 5 years, because every year I'd go over to New York and I'd work in the industry. So it was quite difficult for me to come back into college after being in the real world and seeing how it really worked. But and I was offered a job in New York, and somebody said to me, you know, stay here and we'll pay you a lot of money. But I thought it would be good to come back and finish the degree and then leave, and always have the degree, because I felt like maybe I'd regret not finishing. So that's what I did.
Incredible. And I look at the setup that you have there, and you're compared to myself, as we were saying, you're shaving me. You can see your artistic flair straight away as soon as we connected. So it definitely shines through. It's amazing. Career teachers, I don't know what it is in school with career teachers. I had a similar experience, but it's incredible. So we definitely need help there. But it's amazing to see how you pushed through that. And when you started your company, did you face any challenges? And what do you think was the biggest achievement?
Well, when I was supposed to start it in America, and I was offered a great job working 3 days a week with an income, and then I was going to do the other 4 days on my own company. But unfortunately, as I said, my dad took sick and prostate cancer, and he passed away. But so that's why I'm here. Like otherwise, I would have been there and stayed there. And it was a lot more difficult to do it from Ireland. And it still is, because it's a small island. That's what it is. And, you know, the demographic, the amount of wealth, you know, so it is very challenging. So for me, you know, I'm looking at outside Ireland. I'm looking at social media. I have a great fan base in America. And I was actually supposed to go over and do a show on April 17th. But obviously that was cancelled. So I'm really looking outside of Ireland. And I think you have to do that because it's just so small, you know, unless you're doing massive amount of quantities at really low prices. That's why Pennies is so successful, because people pay cheap. But like, when you think about it though, I do think, and I'm hoping that, you know, Ireland and around the world's attitude to fashion is changing, so they buy less and buy more quality. And that's something that I've always been doing since I started my label. So I don't mass produce. I'm the only designer who digitally prints on silk and manufactures in Ireland. We are very sustainable, and you can go into that again later, but you know, it's something that I'm very passionate about. So it's really about quality, investment buys, very special pieces, and not churning out rubbish, basically. That's, you can wear once or twice and then it's thrown in a landfill. Yeah.
Amazing. And of course you're known for your you know, your colorful, I'm looking at what you're wearing today, even I'm just thinking that is your style. But would you say that you have a signature style?
Yeah, I'd be known for my iconic prints, as somebody said. So people would recognize a print, and I'd have a lot of customers who would say to me, oh, I saw somebody wearing your dress, and I knew it was Jennifer Rothwell. So, and again, a lot of them are inspired by Irish heritage and culture, because when I returned home, when I lived in America, and I lived longer than 10 years there because I was always back and forth as well, so probably 17, I just gained a greater appreciation for my Irish heritage and culture. And I really felt that Irish people in Ireland don't appreciate that. And a lot of the for example, maybe the Book of Kells designs that were reproduced would be very tacky and neon and not very nice or sophisticated. So I decided to do my own bit to reignite Irish heritage and culture through contemporary fashion, by looking at the Book of Kells, looking at the GPO 1916, and then my muse, who I love, Harry Clark, the famous stained glass artist of the last century. So, you know, looking at really amazing things about Ireland, but kind of doing my own interpretation of those through fashion.
Incredible. And again, I've lived away 11 years outside of Ireland and came back, and I can totally echo exactly what you're saying. I never appreciated what we had here, and I've never seen so many places around Ireland since I've came home. And yeah. That's I want to visit everywhere in Ireland, because again, as you say, when you go away, you actually realize what we have here, and we actually genuinely don't appreciate it. And people don't understand that unless you've moved away. So, but you wouldn't be tempted then to head off the distant shores, or you're planted there in Ireland?
Well, I am for family reasons, yeah. So I'm beside my mom, and I keep an eye on her. And then, you know, with my children, they're going to a Gael school, like, so I'm being Irish all the way. So, even though I'm not great at Irish, and my old Irish teacher was horrible to me, but I didn't let that affect me. You know, when I lived abroad, I had loads of friends from everywhere, and I had a Russian friend and Turkish friends, and we used to be so ashamed that I couldn't speak Irish. You know, they'd be speaking English and then they'd speak their own language, and people thought I was English, you know, because now I'd speak a little few words, but not. I would have loved to have kind of had a friend who was could speak fluent Irish with myself, Oscailga, and it would be wonderful. So I really wanted my children to be able to have that, you know, so especially if they travel around the world and with their friends, that they have their own form of communication. So it's lovely to hear them sing, particularly singing in Irish. I love that. So, and I just think the language is so mystical, even more so when it's sung. I think it's really beautiful and haunting, and it's just gorgeous, you know. So we'll get to sing for you later.
Well, that's exactly it. And you'll have me on YouTube now looking for Irish ballads after our chat. That's it. You get me all romantic about Ireland again. So no, it's great to hear someone who's so passionate about the Irish culture and the mythology, I guess. It's really great to see. And obviously you mentioned sustainable and slow fashion, I guess. So that's really important for you and your brand.
Yeah, and I'm actually, it's kind of funny because at the moment, I had a client who had said to me, Jennifer, will you do me a favor and will you make me 2 masks for the moment so I can go out and I, feel protected and feel, beautiful and stylish. And I was a little bit reluctant. I didn't really, kind of the debates out on the mask, but I said, okay. And, I was like, I'm going to have to sew them now because I said, I have no seamstresses or anything. And so I did, and I hadn't touched the machine for a while. And so we made 2 beautiful masks, and I put up something on Instagram, and they're getting an amazing reaction. And so we are going to sell them. And I found these fabrics that I'd kept, that are perfect. And I so I don't throw anything out or discard anything. I always find a use for it, and I love that. I get a great buzz out kind of going, oh, that's perfect for that, and let's use that. So turning something that other people might think would discard into something that's beautiful. And that also was the idea for my bow ties and my pocket squares, because I had bags and bags of fabrics that I have kept for years, that were just way too beautiful to discard. So it's great to be able to look at a bag and then see beautiful products that have been made from that. And you're not throwing anything out, you're not adding to landfills, and you're turning it, and it is more time consuming though, obviously, because you're cutting one at one. But then though I look at it as the customers are getting something so special. A lot of the pieces that we design and we make are one-offs, and I suppose it's probably up to me to relay that story to clients so they really understand, why they're so special. But they are, they're really, really special. But I suppose what I love doing, I love doing what I do, I should say, is because you are making people feel beautiful and uplifting their spirits. I had somebody who purchased one of my masks and she gifted it to somebody. And the lady called me and said, oh, this is beautiful, and who's this from? And I said, and I told her who it was from, and she was like, it's just made my day, So I suppose that's what I really love about what I do, because I make people happy. It's like being a psychologist, but through clothing,
Again, it's just amazing, because this is something that we all need right now, because again, we're confined in these spaces. Some of us are in homes and houses, some of us are in flats. It can be very tough, not being able to go out and feeling restricted, and actually just bringing someone a little bit of joy and making them feel good is incredible. So again, great to hear that you're doing that. And the masks, what a great idea, because we don't want to take away from the PPE equipment that the hospitals need. Actually creating something that people can actually use today, I think it's brilliant.
But I also think that they're quite scary, so I think that like I had somebody on Instagram message me, and she's a doctor, and she said, oh, I'd love to wear that into the surgery. Now obviously she'd, I think the way it works is that you can wear them, once you're not treating a patient, so there would be a lot of medical staff that would be interacting with people, and they could wear ones that are prettier, but I think that if particularly if you're with a child, so if you're dealing with somebody, or even with, that's not so scary, or even if, I don't know if they're allowed, but even in some of the care homes, if they could wear something that was beautiful. So with my masks, I have one inspired by a hummingbird, and that's what the customer said who was gifted one today. She was like, oh, I love hummingbirds and it's so beautiful, so, and I have another one that's inspired by the ocean and the coral reef. So they're beautiful colors, and so it's just bringing a little bit of pop of color and beauty into something that might be seen as scary, you know, and a little bit, and you're kind of losing your personality a little bit because you don't see your smile. So if you see something beautiful on your face, you know, it looks like you're smiling because you're giving off a beautiful aura. Yeah.
Totally, and I know so many people watching this are going to be really interested in this. I can't wait to see some of these. So you've posted some of these on your Instagram account?
Well, what we've done is we did a kind of a special giveaway, and then we're going to announce the winners, and then we're going to officially announce that we are selling them. They're up online. I just haven't officially, but they are on my website, jenniferrothwell.com. Yeah, and then I've got 2 versions, and then as soon as I can cut more, we'll be doing loads of different versions. Actually, and the lady who was gifted one said to me, "Are you doing men's? Are you doing that?" And I was like, you know, she said, "What about navy?" And I just found a beautiful green, dark green fabric. Yeah, so we will be doing solid colors for men as well, because we can't leave the gentlemen out, not at all, you know.
Of course.
They should wear a bit of print and be a bit adventurous. Men are so boring these days.
Brilliant. And when you're talking about prints, and you mentioned some of your inspirations, you wouldn't share some of them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's funny because when I was in college, they were really harping on about inspiration. And a lot of times I just come up with ideas and then I'd make up the inspirations afterwards and give them a book so they could like mark me. But now I'm really getting into inspirations now. Yeah, so as I was saying, I really started when I came back, where I looked at the Book of Kells, I looked at 1916, and then I looked at Harry Clarke, and oh my God, with Harry Clarke now, I could just keep going and going and going. And I suppose, and with Harry, it was like, I wanted people to, this generation to discover him. So we're kind of helping each other, you know, like he's brought a lot of people to me and I bring people to him by visiting the museums, by visiting the churches. And anytime I go to a different county in Ireland, I always look for a Harry Clarke church that has stained glass. And I always take photographs and discover where he is. And I've actually become very good friends with his family in America, who live in America now, his two of his grandchildren, because they love what I do, and I'm very fond of them as well. We've become quite close. So he's just an amazing artist, like just amazing. And the newest print that I have is actually inspired by a dream that his granddaughter had. And so I've kind of designed that with her in mind as well. So, but I don't just do Harry. A lot of people will be like, when Harry met Jennifer. No, I also design, like the newest collection I have now is inspired by, it's called the Féileacán, so it's Oscailga for butterfly, but it is to bring awareness to species that are endangered. So to make people a little bit more aware of nature and how we really need to protect our endangered species and keep the beauty that's on the earth for the next generation and generations to come. So I always kind of, something comes to me and then I kind of figure out, okay, how can I make a beautiful print that can tell the story? So every print does have a story. There's a thought process behind it, and then it starts from the inspiration, and then it proceeds from that. Yeah.
Incredible, and that's what ends up making the person who's wearing it feel so special, I guess, as well. So it's brilliant to know the amount of thought and process goes into creating a piece of fashion. Amazing compared to, as you say, what we see sometimes on a hanger in a shop. It's totally different. And I know you recently met Kate and William when they were over in Ireland. How was that meeting?
It was great. I found out I got an invitation, and I was over the moon, and I couldn't tell anybody. And I was it was funny, I was told that I would actually get to meet them and have a conversation with them. So you're kind of like, you know, what am I going to say? Yeah, you know. And I was on the creative table, so there was about 4 or 5 other people with me. And it really is a time that you have to talk if you have to talk, you know, because I mean, if you don't open your mouth, you know, you're not going to get your word in. So I had more time with William, actually. Kate was kind of been pulled to different tables, but I did have a little time with Kate, and she was lovely. And so was William. He was very interested in kind of sustainable fashion and the craft industries. And I spoke to him about his father, because I did a little bit of research and found out that Charles is really into wool and you know, again, sustainable. He's actually really great for the environment.
Mhm.
And he said, yes, so that's what Daddy's into. And he was very pleasant. And I discussed men's accessories with him. And then Kate, I had a few minutes with her, and she was lovely, really down to earth. I did not feel uncomfortable at all with either one of them. They were very, very sweet and very, very lovely couple. Really nice. Yeah. So I was delighted. But I'm hoping to get a photograph, because I was told I would get a photograph, because you obviously can't do a selfie there. And so I'm hoping to get an official photograph, you know, because that will be one for the wall. That'll be lovely.
For sure, no, and we see these people, you know, obviously in the media so much, and it's interesting to hear what they're really like. So, no, great, thank you for sharing that with us. I guess you've dressed a lot of people then through the years.
Well, yeah, I have. I've dressed Enya. Well, she's worn a lot of my clothes, actually. And it's lovely because, ironically enough, when I used to fly back into Dublin when I was coming home to visit, I used to listen to Enya as I was landing down. So little did I know then, a few years later, I'd actually be dressing her. So she's bought, countless dresses off me. We've made custom-made pieces for her. Generally, it would be custom-made. And then the new Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker, wore my stained glass suit inspired by Harry Clarke on the Graham Norton show. So that was fabulous amount of PR. And then a lot of people, you know, there's regular people that wear my clothes as well. So, but a lot of artists wear them. And a lady I made a bespoke wedding dress for her and her partner, and they got married in Lapland in stained glass dresses with beautiful capes. Fabulous. And then there was this opera singers. So I'm delighted, like other artists love my work. So that's a great endorsement. I'm very proud that they do too. And everybody, but like, I don't want to put anybody off. Like, it's, you know, a lot of people would say to me, oh, I'd love to be like you. I'd love to be creative. And I really believe everybody is creative. They're just not tapping into that side or giving themselves time to experiment with that side of their personality. And so every walks of life, you know, can wear Jennifer Rothwell.
Incredible. As you mentioned, Enya, I'm thinking again back to her own distinctive style is actually probably very close to yours, looking at the uniqueness, and I guess again we claim a little bit of Irish as well in her style too. So no, it's amazing. So you've definitely, and have you met Enya then, or if you
no,
not met her, no, but listen to her music a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, I have. Yeah, no, she has a stylist. Yeah, she's a very private person. Yeah, so wow. She does everything through her stylist.
It was incredible. Yeah, again, incredible music. So the Irish fashion industry. What's your thoughts? Is it strong, taking over the global stage, or we've a bit of work to do and we should be striking out in our own?
Yeah, do you know? I think that, I mean, I've been campaigning for this since 2010, and I've gotten onto all the government bodies and even President Higgins. We really need a lot more support. We need the same kind of tax incentives that was given to the arts 30 years ago. I really believe that it has a huge potential, and it definitely can add to our economy hugely. But it's impossible for the industry to grow without reduced VAT rate at the moment, or 23%. There's no, you know, it should be at zero really, you know, and we should be really looking at ways of bringing back manufacturing into Ireland now, and particularly now, you know, it's very, what's the word? It's quite amusing to see now the people who are genuinely actually making in Ireland, because the ones who are very quiet aren't making in Ireland, and they're saying they're making in Ireland, but they're not. So, you know, it's telling a lot now about who is producing here. And when people come to Ireland, they want genuine made in Ireland products. And unfortunately what's happening is that, you know, as somebody who is a knitwear designer said to me, the wall has been pulled over people's eyes. Excuse the pun, but it's true. Like, you know, so they're going and they're seeing these sweaters said made in Ireland, but they're like €30. You know, there's no way that's been made in Ireland. It's very obvious, but the consumer doesn't know that. And if you look at the care label, it doesn't say that it's not made in Ireland. And it would have designed in Ireland. And people think I have a waistcoat. I actually was in New York. This guy was so funny. And it was a tweed waistcoat. And he's like, look at me, I'm fabulous. I'm in an Irish like tweed waistcoat. And I said, excuse me, can I have a look at your, the care label? So I was looking at his care label and it said design in Ireland. And I said, no, that's not made in Ireland, because if it was made in Ireland, it would say made in Ireland, So it's very, very difficult for people to make. And I can understand why people don't make in Ireland, to be honest, because you can't make any money. And that's probably why the fraud continues. There's no legislation to enforce it. So basically everybody is supposedly policing it on honesty. And, but like in America, anything that is sold has to have a care label, country of origin, fabricate content, everything. And I don't see why we can't do that here, But as I said that, if it's not enforced correctly, the people who are legitimately making in Ireland can never sell their products at the price it should be. And people are being fooled. Tourists are being fooled. So, but the whole thing about the made in Ireland is, for me, is that, it's totally possible if we get a little bit of help, and then the growth in the economy, and then it's going to have a domino effect. So, if I'm really busy, I can hire a graphic designer, I can, a printer, and I can get and obviously I want to create employment. And then if you look at the bigger scale picture, then you're looking at creative clusters that can open up villages. When people travel Ireland, they want to go into the local craft shop. They want to meet the local knitwear designer or milliner, or leather maker, and that's what people really want. And then I also would look at it another way and think that people want to make with their hands. They don't want to be working with these big corporations. They actually want to create. And if they create, there's less depression. It really has a domino effect on how beneficial it would be to our country. And it would add to our economy. Like Britain is very good about understanding the value of the heritage with modern technology, and they invest in that, and they see value in that. Unfortunately, we're not there now.
I agree. No, it's a terrible shame. I think of industries in Ireland that are globally famous, like the food industry. We've done an amazing job of guaranteed Irish and buy Irish. And so people are looking for Irish beef and Irish butter
and they're looking for Irish fashion. Believe me, they're looking for Irish fashion. They are looking for Irish fashion. But as I said, they're being fooled into what they're buying that they think is made in Ireland. And then legitimate companies cannot compete with that. And then they go out of business, because most craft and design people are doing it because they love it. They're not even paying themselves a minimum wage. In actual fact, they're actually going into overdraft. They're actually losing money by doing what they love. But if, as I said, there was a bit more support and a few more tax incentives to help people create employment, it would flourish, So
incredible.
Somebody listening to this might help. Yeah, no. I'm waiting for somebody. I've been talking to everybody. I'm trying to find somebody. Said to me one time, actually very influential in the North in the peace process, I won't mention who, actually said to me, you're going from Billy and Jack. You need to find that person in the system that cares, that can make it happen. So where are they? I'm waiting to hear from you.
Amazing. No, and I totally agree. I'm sure everyone listening would totally agree as well. There's nothing better than actually seeing Irish products being produced, and you're right, the tourists for sure, they love it and want that genuine experience. I think we're definitely missing a whole trick here, and we could open up a lot more employment. And even this current crisis, you're totally right, it's amazing that we're all struggling, the governments are struggling to get this these clothes or equipment in from Asia, and we've none of it here. So it's a big shock, I'd say, to everyone. So really interesting times, and I'm wondering what actually makes a good fashion designer. What's the skills and the
well, I think a lot of people, when they go to fashion college, I don't think they realize. I think it's more like this generation, maybe more so than my generation, but like I know that a lot of people that were in my fashion class aren't doing fashion. Yeah, some of them might be art teachers and a few and other things. I think there's a crime journalist, and some people are in costume. There's a few that are doing design, but like, your chances of actually being a designer if you go into fashion college is very, very low, and particularly in Ireland. You basically, I knew when I was in college that I'd emigrate, but I was lucky. I was born in America, so I knew I could get a job. And that's the first thing that I did, was to go out there and get employment in something that I had studied. You know, nowadays it's probably even more difficult, you know, because the fashion world has changed. A lot of designers aren't getting jobs as designers, they're getting jobs at maybe fashion Instagram or other things like that. But anybody who studies fashion here, because there isn't an industry, have to leave. And unfortunately, the thing that breaks my heart is that the people who stay, you could meet them a few years later and, you know, they're amazingly talented people, but because they want to stay in Ireland, they're baristas or they're working for Google. Do you know what I mean? So it's so sad that we, and I'm going back to that now, you know, that we invest all this money to train up people just for them to leave, and for other economies to get the benefit of taxpayers' money to educate these people. And nobody really wants to leave their country. You know, even with me, I knew, okay, I'd leave, I get my experience and I'll come back because I wanted to raise my children in Ireland. So, you know, this is why we should be investing in the industry. We are losing all our amazing talent, and it's not just design talent, and it's not just in fashion. You know, there's anything to do with design. It could be product design, it could be architecture, you know, because unless you're independently wealthy and coming from a really rich family, how are you going to stay here, you know? And it's so sad that that has to be the case, because it's the whole immigration thing again, migration, you know, like it was in the 80s. You know, everything is becoming localized. And you said, you know, the love Irish food. Why aren't we loving Irish fashion, you know, and love Irish design? And I actually own the domains of two of those since 2010. Because I value, you know, I'm like, why aren't we doing it, you know? And so we should be doing it. And, you know, I don't know, maybe I just think that it's probably easier for people to just say, go work in Google, you know? And it's a terrible shame, because I really think people should be making and designing, and they're so happy when they do that. But what makes a good fashion designer? Really, really, you have to be so passionate. You have to really love what you do. You have to work so hard. You have to believe in yourself. You can't give up. I've had so many interns work for me, and I just can't understand why they got into fashion, because they don't really love it. I think it's a glamorous idea that, oh, you know, fashion, I want to be a fashion designer. It's like being a rock star, you know, and haven't got a chance in hell, you know, because you have to work so hard. It's not glamorous at all. I mean, okay, I met the Royals. That's amazing. You know, of course it is. But that's 1% of my time. And but all the rest of the time is not glamorous. I mean, I remember one time it was remember the nobody could fly because the ash cloud. Yeah. I mean, I was out in my workroom till 4:00 in the morning sewing faux fur scarves, because nobody could get any product, and it was freezing cold, and it was snowing, and and they were flying out the door, and I was like, you know what, I'll do it. I'll be out there, you know. And that's the kind of commitment that you need to have within you, and because it's a very difficult industry. I mean, a lot of people would say, if you want to be a designer, you're better off working for a company, because then you'll actually get time to design. Because I give very little time to design. It's all the other things, you know. And then I'm a mother as well, so add that onto it, you know. We won't even go there. But so, you know, it's yeah, you have to be so committed, and so you have to really love it and really, really put the hard work in. Yeah. Have I turned everybody off? I probably
no, no way. No, it's great just to get honest advice for anyone that's even considering it, because
yeah.
As you know, we don't have that many years, and you don't want to waste them doing the wrong thing. So it's really good to hear what you think of that. So the advice that you would give to anyone who's wanting to become a fashion designer is what?
Okay, so yeah, get trained, go to college, and then get experience, but get experience in a company, you know, so you learn your mistakes there, you know. I wouldn't advise anybody to start up their own label immediately. No, it's crazy, because you need to, like, when I left college in 95, you know, I worked in the industry, in a tough industry in New York for 10 years before I had the confidence. I mean, I had manufacturers saying to me in New York, Jennifer, come on, start your own line, you're brilliant, you know, we'll help you. And I would have had a lot of support over there, you know. As I said, I had to do it from here, but it took me 10 years to kind of take that leap of faith and kind of go, okay, I feel now that I know the A to Z, because I did every part. I started off actually sales, getting it, because it's very hard to get a design job. I got sales, then I got promoted to PR within Norma Kamali. She was a great mentor and teacher, very tough lady, but I learned a lot from her. So, you know, I learned from her like sales, I learned PR, and then I ended up learning licensing, and I also learned production. And production is, you know, like being the chef in a restaurant. You know, you need to know what the back kitchen is doing if you know about the design. So you have to understand the whole process. You know, you have to understand quality, you have to understand. And that's what a lot of designers fail to do. They just think, oh, I'm going to sketch a nice simple sketch and I'm going to design it. It's going to be designed. It doesn't work that way. You need to really, really know the process in between. And quality is key. You know, so if you are working, when I worked as director of production for Calvin Klein and a lot of other companies, and you know, the design department was so far, they just hadn't got a clue about what was happening. And if you can't reorder things and the same type of quality to your stockists, you're going to lose your account. So it's really important to learn the A to Z and really know what you're doing before you take that leap of faith. And if you decide that you want to work for a company, whether it's in London or whether it's in Canada or Australia, or there's very few jobs in Ireland, you probably get a buying job with the two top brands over here, if you're lucky. But like, I mean, it's supply and demand. But the thing is that if you do go and work for a design company in any of these countries, be prepared to like work crazy hours. Like literally, you could be working from, I don't know, 8 to 8 at night. Like that's what the industry is about, you know, and you could be working weekends and just working. You know, it's tough. It's not easy. But you do get to a certain stage there that, like, I was headhunted, so I could kind of do my own terms and conditions. I got to a stage where I could say to people, you know, okay, I'm going to work, you know, from 8 to 4, Monday to Friday. And if you want me after that, you pay double time. And then they don't want to pay double time, so you get more time. Or you could do time off in lieu. So I could say, okay, I'll work that extra day, but I want Monday off when we're not busy. But that took years for me to get to, you know, and I had to do that so I didn't burn out, because I would have been working, you know, every day for weeks on end. So, you know, there's very few companies that don't work that way in fashion. And so people have to understand that that's the way it is. You know, it's a very tough industry, but it is, you know, I mean, if you get to a stage where you know what you're doing, and you know, and it's a totally different world now, you know, with Instagram, and you know, if you could sell direct to customer and figure out that way, it could, you know, it could be fabulous and you could earn a living. But yeah, and a lot of young people now, they're brilliant, like they're great marketeers. They don't. So I suppose it's probably an easier way to get in now than it was before, because you can take nice photographs, put them on Instagram, see how they go, test the market. So I suppose, you know, if you're not going to work for an industry and go down the whole social media route, that might be the easiest way in, if people, you know, want to test the market that way.
Incredible insight. Wow. So yeah, getting your eyes opened. As you see, as a customer or someone outside the industry, you just get to see the final product, and you don't realize, no one realizes what goes on really in the industry. So it's great.
Yeah, and I should really be doing more on social media and videos. I should be doing steps to show people, you know, because I think that people need to be educated to understand why a lot of people think Irish design is really expensive, but they don't understand the process. They don't understand the printing. Like, I do show the printing and the steam of, like, so okay, fabric, first of all, it's design, and then you have to do Photoshop and Illustrator and do test prints and things, you know. So then you print it, you steam it, you have to wash it, then you have to cut it, then you have to decide what you're going to do with it, whether it's draping it or designing it or what silhouettes. And then you have to do a toile, and then you have to make the toile, then you have to make sure this is what we do for a custom, you know, and then it's sewn, and then it's QC. Like there is a big stage. And, you know, a lot of our pieces would be hand cut, so one at a time, you know. I mean, for the Jodie Whittaker suit, which I didn't know she's going to end up wearing, but the placement, you know, to cut that, you know, we take a long time to decide exactly which pattern goes where on the back piece. And so it's aesthetically beautiful and it all works, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of thought process. it's really, really complex. You know, it's time consuming, you know, and there's so many steps. So I get a little bit offended. People kind of go like, haggle with you, or kind of, you know, like, oh, it's so expensive. And I don't know. I suppose sometimes I'm truth serum and sometimes I have to say nothing because they don't really understand, you know, what goes behind the scenes and how much work is put in there, because it is every single piece. I've had placement isn't right. I'll say, cut it again, print it again, cut it again. And I know I'm losing money doing this, a lot of money, but it's not about the money. It's about creating something that is beautiful, and it is the best product it can be for that customer. You know, that's what it's about.
Incredible. I have two last questions before I let you sneak away on us. How have you found digital and social media and your web and online? Has that been a change for your business over the last few years?
You know what? I think with all that's happening now, this is the time it's going to have a big impact. Yeah, because a lot of people have said to me, like, I'd have a big loyal base on Facebook, and I know that Instagram is the future and we're building on the Instagram, but like, unfortunately the way it is it's everything is paid campaigns, you know. I don't think people see your product unless you do spend on marketing. So I've been testing a little bit now and it seems to be working, and we've gotten a few sales actually from Instagram that, you know, since I've been changing it up a little bit. But it's the masks, everybody loves them. So, but it is like, with the whole what's going on, like, I've bought myself my own photography kit. I bought myself my own light box. I'm going to be so self-sufficient, I swear to God. And not that I need to do any more work, but everything, it's like, okay, how do I make my own studio now? So if this ever happens again, like, you know, my daughter's my model, she's great. So yeah, it's just it's about ways of getting high quality photography up, because that's the biggest challenge, you know, so that you don't want to put any old image up. So if you can take a beautiful photograph and getting as much product, and that's what I had to do. It's like, I've actually so many amazing pieces that are one or two pieces that I need to take photographs and pop them up on Instagram, so people know. And today, like, everybody's at home now, so it's the time to do it. Actually, I heard somebody say, I was on a seminar, a Zoom seminar, and the person who was giving the seminar said that I think sales in it, like, online, have increased 30% in the last 2 weeks. Huge. Everybody's buying things. So now is the time. But I do think, I always try to think of positive out of negative, and I really think that a lot of people are going to learn a lot during this time about how to be self-reliant and how to progress their business. And, you know, I also heard in another seminar, you know, the people that make the changes needed and, you know, really take advantage of this time are the ones who are going to be stronger after this. You know, so I really think that everybody should really look at their businesses and go, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I evolve? You know, how can I, you know, can I buy anything? Can I get on this website? You know, like, what can I do to make my business stronger? Instead of putting their head in the sand and saying, oh, this is terrible, isn't it? And really looking at a way to improve what they're doing and then hopefully make their life less stressful. Because maybe, if, you know, getting sales online is the best thing. You don't have to worry with anybody. You don't have to worry about buyers or hassle. You get paid instantaneously. It's great. I think that's the way forward, definitely. Online sales to the customer directly, you know, and really putting your product out there, because I do think people want to buy from the designer, you know, versus going through some big chain like Amazon, or, you know, they feel better about buying from an independent designer because they're helping that designer. And when you buy from a local designer, you're helping your local community. Like, any money I get pays for my daughter's rinka, pays for anything, everything. All my money goes back into the economy. I don't even do foreign holidays. I have a mobile down in Wexford. Do you know what I mean? Which unfortunately we can't go down to. But the thing is that, you know, so all the money that comes into me goes back out to the economy, you know. So I really think that we should be supporting local food, fashion, every business that's local, that's not a big chain. Unfortunately, we've given away our power, you know, to these big corporations, and we really need to start buying local and supporting each other to make everybody stronger, so that we don't have to worry, you know, that we can kind of look after ourselves if this ever happens again, you know.
Incredible. It's just amazing to talk to someone who's so passionate about being Irish and supporting Irish business and the local culture as well. So incredible. If anyone watching this wants to find out more about yourself or to follow your amazing designs online, where's the best place for them to go?
So my website actually is Jennifer Rothwell, Rothwell. And Instagram too. It's actually Instagram is Jennifer Rothwell Design. We couldn't fit it on this board, but Jennifer Rothwell Design, and on the website too. But I suppose Instagram and Facebook we keep updating them all the time, and then you can make the online sales directly through the website. But I also do have a lot of amazing pieces as well that aren't online. So if anybody is specifically looking for, like, I'd have, you know, easy dresses and solid pieces, and then we also do bespoke. So if somebody needs something made to measure, once the lockdown is over, of course, they can make an appointment with me, and then we can look after them as well.
Incredible. We'll make sure we've links to all of those underneath this video as well. So Jennifer, again, thank you very much for your time today. I really enjoyed our chat. It's been an amazing insight into the Irish fashion industry and how you're growing your brand.
Oh, thank you so much for me. It was lovely chatting to you today.
Excellent.
Take care. I hope you stay well and healthy.
For sure, we all will. And thank you very much for watching this video today with Jennifer. Please do check the links below this video. Visit her website, check out her Instagram, and you can see she's an amazing person who's very proud of Irish business. So do for sure check out her website, her social media. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please do share it, and we'll see you in the next one soon. Thank you.